We're all looking at the wrong things, or at least that's a great clickbait YouTube title. But in today's video, we're going to be going over something that we have not spoken about really on this channel for the past like 5-6 months now, because Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the greater sphere has been just, very, very interesting. And in this case, we're going to be going over traditional markets, seeing how that kind of lines up with the overall announcement we've been having on Bitcoin, which is crazy sideways price action, still very much likely sideways for Bitcoin as we do get into or closer to the halving, I should say, and really realistically probably just chopping around and wasting time until then as Bitcoin goes sideways in a range. Crazy, just absolutely crazy. It's not super bullish and it's not super bearish. It's boorish actually. Anyways, just jump right into this one, starting off with the chart of the day, which is NASDAQ. We'll also look at SPY futures as well. But in this case, NASDAQ, I do believe, has a pretty good look at what or a pretty good forwards look at what we're probably going to see on Bitcoin, as well as this one's more of an obvious chart is what I'm trying to say. And in this case, it does look like NASDAQ's trying to put in a higher low yet again at 18,000 bucks. We've seen several higher lows alongside this overall uptrend. And in this case, we do see that it's going to be accompanied by hidden bullish evidence pretty much on all these higher lows that we've seen the whole way through. So lower lows on RSI plus higher lows on price action means that the bears are using more force, or implies that the bears are using more momentum, but getting less in the way of price. Now, at some point, this very likely does break, and we do see an actual, genuine correction. But in this case, as long as NASDAQ, for example, is above the last Friday's low, this is probably your next higher low. Now, of course, today is an event. We do have CPI coming out a little bit later today, so you're probably going to see some ebbs and flows on price action. But if on the other side, you do see a closure above last Friday's high, which was, damn it, give me my damn tools over here, 18,408. This would be confirmed as the next higher low. Very likely a retest of those highs. Very likely continues to march on to new highs on this rally, which, I know sounds crazy, but again, we are in an election year, and it is the second quarter of an election year, which is typically bullish. Maybe not like full on bullish, but usually, green. Might not be like a tremendously green period, but typically green nonetheless. Anyways, yes. So not only that, but I should say that on the other side, like let's say, there is a surprise on CPI coming out later today. Definitely possible. You'll know that something has changed and that the analysis on this channel will change if you start to see closures below that same Friday's low, which again is basically 18,000 bucks. You start to see closures below there. Okay, we got some new going on. Greater correction likely incoming. You're probably going to see Bitcoin in the mid to low 60s. But until then, I still look at Bitcoin as in the process of setting its next higher low. Anyways, in this case, we can now move on into SPY futures. Same thing over here, basically the same chart. As you can see, all the major US bourses kind of trade hand in hand and do trade hand in hand with Bitcoin as well. It does seem, especially on the higher term time frame trends. And what do you know? Do we have hidden bullish evidence here? Yes. Boom, 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 boom. Like the whole way fucking through, of course. But in this case, just like NASDAQ, in order for this one to be confirmed, we need to see a closure above Friday's high. For that to confirm hidden bullish evidence, very likely thus confirming another retest of the highs, above 5,300 bucks for SPY. And if we do see a closure below Friday's low, at that point, I would be looking for a greater correction down to the 5120, 5130-ish region, somewhere in this. Get my damn brush out over here. Somewhere in this pocket over here, around the 55, and probably just looking for another higher low there as well. But until that happens, let the trend be your friend as always. I know it's not like the most sexy of analyses, but it is, at least in my opinion, the most important thing when it comes down to trading. Even if you're using the most sophisticated mathematical models to price assets and whatnot, trend is always that sort of black matter particle in the background that kind of connects everything. Is very, very important to actually understanding what the fuck is going on and where that drift is likely coming in. So in this case, what does this imply for Bitcoin? Well, as we go into Bitcoin over here, we would expect to see something potentially similar as well. And what do you know, on the 2-day time frame, as we did outline, I think in the last like 3 to 4 days, that there is potential for hidden bullish evidence here too. Again, it's going to take some time to play out if it does get confirmed, but this would be low number 1 and low number 2, lower lows on RSI plus higher lows on price action, as you see right here and potentially right here. But with last night's 2-day closure, it did not confirm hidden bullish divergence. Why? Because we did not see a closure above what would have been the reversal dildo right here on Thursday the 4th, high on CME, which was 69,910. But it is going to have another chance to do it, not today, but potentially tomorrow upon the next closure, if it does close above that same number, 69,910. But that's a long day, that's a long time left to go, 1 day and 16 hours to be fair. But if you do see, going back to this chart over here, especially NASDAQ or SPY trade back above that Friday high, and especially close today above that Friday high, you're probably going to see Bitcoin do the same thing as well. Probably a front runnable trade. But just as we've been saying on Bitcoin as well, I don't think that this is like the fucking screaming move as of right now. I mean, I could be very, very wrong about that. I still think that Bitcoin's more or less sideways. And this is just kind of opportunity time, and we're just wasting time really for the next 10 days. So about a week and a half, halving happens. After that, real game is on yet again. Anyways, moving on from there where's my damn notes? There we go. Okay, yeah. Moving on from there, we can get into the HPDR bands, which, yes, indeed. Yesterday, I mean, we don't really have anything new here. It's the overall range still. To the downside, $68,000 on CME. To the upside, $74,000. These are just range plays. These don't do anything for trend. Median is currently at 70,850. So maybe a bit of of an interaction right there. This does suggest, as of right now, with the HPDRV representing volatility decreasing, that we probably do see yet another test of the median. But on a day like today, where you're going to have an event, that could very easily just be a wick up and then come back down. I don't really have strong opinions on this as of right now. My strong opinion would be if you start to see closures back above basically Monday's high, that would be indicative towards I guess new highs. At that point have to be looking towards 75 to 76,000 bucks. Or if we see below yesterday's low, at that point we're probably going to see somewhere closer to about 66, maybe 65,000 bucks. Still higher low territory. Still doesn't really do anything for the overall trend. And at that point, if that were to happen, you'll probably have an early indication if NASDAQ or SPY comes below Tuesday's low. If you see something like that, or if you want to be super exact with it, Friday of last week's low, at that point, probably looking for a greater correction on Bitcoin. Still an overall weekly range, but greater correction come down, very close to 60,000 bucks. Again, long term, based off of the Bitcoin production cost fundamentals chart that we've been looking at several times, it's probably an opportunity. I really want to be as direct and as clear as possible, as I've hopefully been repeating the same message for the past, I guess like a week or two now. And I'm going to continue to repeat it probably for another week or two at least, in the sense that it's not, in my opinion, it's not the time to be getting super cute with, getting super bullish, super bearish. It's just long-term, yes, trend still up. Long-term Bitcoin, probably in a value area anywhere around 60,000 bucks, whether that's, plus or minus, a couple $1,000 from there, come down to 58, could come down to 62, whatever. That would be an opportunity if it did happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it did happen, yeah, I'd look at that as an opportunity, again, based off of that chart. And again, I'm not even really looking for that as a likelihood, as long as, especially NASDAQ's above, last Thursday's low, or last Friday's low, same shit basically. Or Bitcoin is basically above, what is this? Last Thursday's low as well. I mean, if it takes out that low, okay, sure. Yeah. Probably see a move at least towards like 62, 63,000 bucks. Probably try for a bounce, maybe comes all the way down to 60. Completely fine. But again, long-term directions are set. It's kind of a waiting time. I think it's time to be a monkey boy, a good old monkey boy, just more or less waiting and not trying to get too sophisticated with trading these relatively small ranges here. Although, I mean, they still do trade, a few $1,000 up and down during the day. But, keep the perspective in mind that realistically, Bitcoin's in a range now from on CME about 74,500 on the upside versus about 60,000 bucks to the downside. That's a $14,000 range. That is to say that nothing pertaining to the long-term trend is changing within that. Again, perspective. So, probably just wasting time still. Fair enough. And I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, the focus is on last Friday's low, above or below, or last Friday's high as well, to be fair. Above last Friday's high, especially on NASDAQ. I think it's more clean and clear chart. On a closing basis, you're very likely to see another retest of these highs. That would imply that Bitcoin is probably going to retest, somewhere around the $73,000 or $74,000 highs, in the coming week, maybe leading up to the halving. By the same token, if NASDAQ takes out Friday's lows, okay, we have a greater correction coming, no problem. No problem for me, and probably no problem for you as well, assuming that you're not like on fucking 50x leverage, getting liquidated by every goddamn 2% move. It's insane, man. It's insane. It's a mental disorder, but you know what? We all have mental disorders. We're looking at this fucking market still. But yeah, at that point, do have to be open towards, greater corrections on Bitcoin. Until then, we can look at daily momentum for Bitcoin. To be fair, it is going to be pointed up, or very likely to be pointed up today, assuming that Bitcoin does not come back down below $67,000. Right now, Bitcoin trading about $2,500 above that pivot. It's not, $2,500 move on, an event like today is not that crazy. But hey, below 67, okay, fair enough. Probably looking at that greater correction down to the low 60s. Okay, fair enough. I think that's probably a good place for me to leaving off, because I keep on saying fair enough, and it really disappoints me that I can't figure out any new English words to describe that. But if you just want like a clean number on Bitcoin, $6,000-7,000, as long as Bitcoin's above, probably threatening more upside, kind of in overall range. So probably not any major continuation just yet. If it does come back down below 67, all right, you're probably gonna get another shot somewhere down to low 60s, maybe even upper 50s, leading into the halving. I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow for Thursday.